I have a client, and there's a real story, who's 53 and they want to stop working because they're really stressed out. Now they have $4.2 million and they don't want to pay the 10% penalty, which is what they'd have to pay if they wanted to withdraw money from their 401k. All of that could have been avoided if they had a superhero account. And so I'll joke with people and say, are you qualified rich, cash poor? They're like, what did you just say? I'm like, yeah, do you have so much money in retirement accounts that you actually don't have the ability to be flexible with what you care about most? And they're like, huh? I go, think about it like the phrase house rich, cash poor. That's my parents. My parents have a $7 million home in Malibu. They never want to ever sell. So they have this home. It's worth a lot of money, but they're still working. Now they're working because they were burned by a few advisors, which I've talked about often. They're okay being used as an example. They actually like it. And I'm lucky because they like what they do. But with them, they have this home and net worth looks good, but it's not creating any income. So great, you have this nice home, but if it's not actually adding cash flow, which is the key to retirement, then it's really not that valuable. Now, what I don't want you to do is don't be house rich, cash poor, but don't be qualified rich, cash poor. So I'm going to show you what if they add more to this. But what I first want to do is, once again, let's assume they get moderate growth in retirement. Let's assume they do retire in 10 years. They spend $8,000 a month after taxes, adjust for inflation. We've got to add in extra expenses for healthcare because from now until Medicare, we've got to pay for healthcare, which can be a lot. I have an ebook on that, and then you can decrease these expenses significantly. So this is not by any means the end all be all. And then what about extra travel? Just being kind of luxurious here. Okay, they could make it happen, but it would be a little tight for my comfort. You're like, what do you mean tight? 1.4 million, they don't have children. I go, yeah, but what if markets don't do well? Well, now you're really jeopardizing the risk of not spending what you want the rest of your retirement. So for them, what I said is, I want you to understand the value of savings and how it gets maneuvered. And they're like, okay, so their 401k, they're doing 5% and they're getting a match of 5%. I said, great, right now you're on track for $1.4 million. What if you stop your saving? What's that going to do? So don't add any more money, John, to your 401k. Well, now we have $726,000. And I'll go to Sarah and go, Sarah, what if you stop too? What if you guys stop saving entirely? What would that do to the plan? Well, it's almost like we're running out of money legitimately in our 70s. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's really scary. I go, yes, this is why you are saving. And so the real value when you're seeing your paycheck, you're adding to your 401k, you don't always feel it. You're like, listen, I know I'm supposed to do it, but I don't really understand it. Watch this number here. As we continue to add to your 401k, what if we did 10% to a 401k? Instead of having $720,000, let's see what you'd have at the end. Okay, wow, that makes a big difference. It's 1.3 million. So now all of a sudden it's adding 3, 4, 5% to your 401k. These make big waves, but I would argue they're not the most important because this couple specifically, they have the majority of their assets in a 401k already. So I'm like, okay, great. That's not your problem. Their problem is they don't have enough in the superhero account. And so what if they were able to add $30,000 a year to their superhero account? Not forever, but the next 10 years. Watch what would happen if they could do that, which I recognize is a big ask. I'm just showing you guys an example. So if they were able to save $30,000 a year to an after-tax brokerage account, well, now all of a sudden they're on track for $1.8 million. And so if they wanted my recommendation on, hey, when's the earliest time we could even consider a retirement if they wanted to retire in 10 years, I need them saving at a minimum $30,000 a year.